we have a momentous opportunity, I think, to make this the norm for every child in the country rather than an exception. I'd love just the cover of this, making every school a community school. That has to be our collective vision. That's got to be what this is about, not just the pockets of excellence, not the islands of excellence, not the islands of extended time, but really the norm for every single student. What do these schools do? What changes for students? We're fighting a lot of different battles as a society. We have to get dramatically better, and again, all of you know this. We all are here because we feel this huge sense of urgency, that we think there are far too many children who aren't getting what they need every day. If they don't get what they need, we perpetuate poverty and we perpetuate social failure, so we have to think very, very differently about that. We have a dropout rate of 30% around the country. That's 1.2 million students coming onto the streets every single year. They're not all going to the MBA. Bill Gates isn't recruiting our dropouts from 9th and 10th grade to go work at Microsoft. They basically have no good options out there. So how do we start to change this equation? Our students need a reason to be excited about going to school every day. And for every child, it's not going to be algebra trig, or it's not going to be biology. It might be robotics, it might be debate, it might be dance, it might be chess, it might be yearbook. And the more our schools become community centers, not just open for children, but to their older brothers and sisters and to families, GED classes, ESL classes, family literacy nights, potluck dinners, whatever it might be, the more families are engaged and the more families become the hearts, the more schools become the hearts of family life, the better our students are going to do. That's got to become the norm. Schools have to welcome parents in. And we know in many places parents haven't frankly been welcome in schools, either during the school day or after school. If schools can truly become the centers of community life, great, great things are going to happen for our children. So if we do our work well, what changes? Lots of data out there. Academic improvement goes up significantly. You see greater rate of gains. You see dropout rates go down. You see reductions in truancy. You see increases in attendance. One of the most interesting findings that I didn't anticipate, but it makes a lot of sense that we saw in Chicago at our community schools, is we saw reductions in mobility. But in schools that had community schools, we didn't eradicate poverty. We didn't eradicate that transiency. We gave families a reason to come back to that school. They were still moving, but they stayed attached to that school. There was something happening there. And for children that desperately need some sense of stability, that need some anchor in their lives, community schools are huge, huge ways to do that. We're trying to invest unprecedented discretionary resources into states, into districts, into nonprofits that are willing to challenge the status quo and help us get dramatically better. So we have $4 billion into the Race to the Top Fund, and we're going to work with states and districts that are going to do two things: close the achievement gap and raise the bar for all students. I don't know how schools and districts and states do that without thinking differently about time, without thinking about the concept of community schools. I don't know how we improve achievement if we don't think just about the academic needs of our students, but the social and emotional and physical needs of our students, thinking about attaching healthcare clinics to schools and having them be one-stop shops. The question is, how do we make that experience the norm rather than the exception? I think your collective leadership, I think your collective hard work, I think the idea of every single school being a community school is a big part of the answer. And so let's sort of seize this moment. There are huge challenges. We know the problems. We can sort of stop admiring the problems, start talking about them. Let's roll up our sleeves. Let's work in different ways together. Let's take our federal resources, partner that at the local level, leverage this money to the maximum, and let's try and make this experience the norm. If we do that, we all know here our children more than meet us halfway.